My truth is that everybody should have autonomy over their bodies and choice on their reproductive health. Simple as that. You don't have to agree with it, but you should definitely advocate in this country of America. Where we're supposed to have freedoms and liberties. Everybody should have the freedom and liberty to decide what kind of life they want to live.
But have you ever thought, what if this is all just a dream? Have you ever thought?
My name is Asha White. I'm an artist and art educator in Cincinnati, Ohio. I originally grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, but I've been in Cincinnati since, oh man, like 2007, since I've been 18. So Cincinnati definitely like raised me into the adult that I am. I'm a 2024 awardee of the Arts Wave Truth and Innovation grants. I'm really excited to be here. Most recently here, I'd consider myself a conceptual artist. Previously, I was really just focusing on painting, but I went back to school a couple years ago to get my master's in art education, and that really gave me a space to experiment with new materials to help better communicate the message that I want to get across. So I really like to dabble in all different types of art forms, and this project is two new art forms for me, so I'm really excited. So my project is called Bodies in Flux. Bodies in Flux is like an art and storytelling project that talks about reproductive justice. So this work, like I mentioned a little bit, started in grad school. I created this fabric vagina, and inside of it were these eggs with ephemeral objects inside that were designed to engage or spark conversation around reproductive justice issues. So I narrowed it down to six and brought them out in community, and I created six workshops around these. So it started off with exploration of the objects, and community members would have conversations about what they saw, and I would also ask them some questions that I prepared. Then they would have about 20, 30 minutes to write in reflection, either in response to prompts prepared or just their own reflections of the conversation. So then we'd all share our writings. There's also a documentary component to this that I'm really excited about. I thought it was important to document the journey of this process because a lot of times you get to that end product and you just see the results. But I think it's really important about the story of how we got to these visual works of art. So three of the six workshops were filmed. And then I went into my studio and kind of digested their reading or what they wrote and the conversations that I recalled, and created six fabric vaginas, six new ones with new objects inside of them. So they're no longer inside of Easter eggs, but there's new objects inside of all that were inspired by the conversations that we had in the workshop. So there's a visual component, there's a documentary component made in partnership with Planned Parenthood Southwest Ohio, and Sunny Blue Media Productions did the filming and directing of the video, and I executive produced it. So I'm very, very excited to just see it all come together in one space. The showcase opens, the visual works go open to the public on Saturday at Alice OTR at 5:30 to 10 p.m. So after you see all the work at the Clifton Cultural Arts Center, that's kind of like a nightcap. You can come in the evening and check out the work at Alice. So it hasn't been open to the public, but I've definitely had some close friends of mine come into my studio and give some really great feedback. So that's been awesome. Just that wanting to have more conversations about the work, about what inspired it, talking about what the workshops look like. And then when I think about the workshops and maybe something that was really educational or that participants took from it, one of the workshops was specifically geared to non-birthing bodies. What ended up showing up was a group of men in really diverse ages. We had the youngest, I think it was 18. We had a couple 18 and 19-year-olds, and then we had men in their like mid to late 40s, I believe. And what I realized in that conversation was there is really a lack of sex education. And I think it was primarily focused on the young men in the room, and the older men were really giving a lot of great lessons. But then what inspired me from that lack of education is I took um, I took some sex ed material into a barber shop. I thought, where do men share information, right? Like this beautiful collective moment that happened in these workshops. Where does this happen organically in real life? The barber shop, especially for the African American community. So in my neighborhood, there's King's Chop Shop is down the street, and I asked the owner, could I come in with some sex ed material and just talk to people, take some photos as we are having conversation. So the contents inside of that fabric vagina are photos of the men in the barbershop interacting with the sex ed objects provided by Planned Parenthood. And if you just think about that, like, what if we cultivated this world where men felt comfortable having conversations about sex and pregnancy prevention? Because, outside of using condoms and abstinence, men and non-birthing bodies don't have a lot of options when it comes to reproductive choice. So, what can they do to be advocates for their own health and life, and then also advocates for the birthing bodies in their life? So, yeah, just imagining futuristic worlds in some of these pieces, dystopian futures are going to be in some of these pieces, contemplating when does life begin, really just digging into the richness of this discussion, because it's really not black and white. And I really believe it ends up in personal choice. And I hope that that's what really drives home. On a personal note, I think it's innovative to continue to challenge yourself to take on new mediums. Innovation from the visual works, I think I used AI. Like, these are fabric, tangible. You can touch these items inside of them. But I used AI to generate some material. So there's tech in there. There's photography, even though it's fabric work. So it's really multidiscipline, and I think that's innovative. I think the fact that the artwork is tactile, the fact that guests are encouraged to touch it and interact with it, it scares me, first of all. But I think that's innovative and new, and a new way to engage people. And I even think having a documentary with the visual works paired together, not original, it's not like it's never been done before, but I think it just allows more space for people to understand maybe visual works isn't the way that you connect with a message, but seeing people talk about it as a way. So just creating different entry points for learning and conversation. I think all of those things are very innovative. My truth is that everybody should have autonomy over their bodies and choice on their reproductive health. Simple as that. You don't have to agree with it, but you should definitely advocate. In this country of America, where we're supposed to have freedoms and liberties. Everybody should have the freedom and liberty to decide what kind of life they want to live. And that can be majorly impacted whether you're forced to birth a child that you may not want, or, just whatever you decide. It's your choice. That's what's important to me. That's my truth. I would love the creativity squared community to learn that this work is really about conversation. I hope that they walk away wanting to have more conversations in community around reproductive justice, not to shy away from those conversations, and to advocate for reproductive choice and reproductive rights. I'd also like people to just understand that it comes down to choice. Whatever you want to do with your body is your choice, and we should all advocate for freedoms over body autonomy. So, what started this project really was I started grad school the summer after Roe v. Wade was overturned. So, I was charged up. I didn't know what I was my end thesis project was going to be about, but I knew that reproductive choice had to be a part of it. And I think my passion, this has kind of always been a passion of mine, reproductive choice and body autonomy, and just feeling really comfortable with my body as a woman. And that is 100% inspired by my mother. I just love the way, I remember when my period came, and she just made me feel so comfortable. She warned me before when it came, it was no big deal. And just throughout my life, as we had to talk about sex and whatever we had to talk about when it came to my body, I felt really empowered to have the conversation, really empowered to ask questions. And that's the same. And I realized that that's not commonplace. And that's something that I want to create out in community. One of the sessions was on a dystopian future for reproductive justice, and one of the prompts was to write like a personal narrative. But the narratives that the participants wrote, and you'll see them if you come to the body of the work, or rather you will hear them, were so chilling, and also didn't feel far away from the future. Like, when we look at legislation that's being pushed forward right now, with this upcoming election and plans for 2025, it is so it sounds so close to reality. And this was months ago, at least before I ever heard of Project 2025. And so, uh, shocking and chilling and close to reality. that just really blew me away, and I think that this work will continue to be very timely, and I hope that it has the opportunity to travel. You know, Ohio is like landlocked by states that do not have abortion access, and I think there's a place for that work out in community outside of Ohio. What inspired it? It was the writing. So I had creative writing samples from everybody that I took and I read them. And for me, the way my brain works is when I read anything, it turns into a visual for me. So it was, what did I feel like really encompassed the essence of our workshop? And then what writings help support that? And then what visuals come up for me when I'm reading this writing? So that's kind of how I interpret into a written language to a visual language.